Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. So today we're going to be reviewing Dragon Cursed by Elise Kova. You probably watched my wrap-up video from March, so you already kind of know a little bit of what I'm going to say about this book, but this is what we're gonna get into it, right? Once again, a huge thank you to Mayhem Books, imprint of Red Tower, for sending me an arc of this book. Thoroughly enjoyed it. However, that being said, it was really hard for me to get into the book itself. I kind of chalked it up to like me being reader's fatigue because it took me almost 2 weeks to read this book, right? And you have to also take into fact I only read on days when I work, because my days off I usually just audiobook while I sit at my desk here and just type away and get work done, right? So I really don't read on my days off, just audiobook, because I just, I sit at my computer and I sit here and I basically work for 8 hours. And that's not true, more like 6 hours. I do take an afternoon nap. But I also don't read on the weekends because I read my book club picks. But even so, it still took me like 2 weeks to really read it. And it took me about half the book before I really got my stride into it. And that's because there's really no world building in the book, honestly. There is a lack of world building in the book. Elise Kova just kind of drops you in there. She just drops you in the world and what is happening in this world that she's built. So there's no real clear indication of what is going on in this world, how the magic system works, how the magic system is structured. So that made it really, really hard for me to get into the book, because I also found that the characterization also wasn't grounding me in the book, because I really didn't have an idea of who this character is. Who was Isola? Yes, she's Valor Reborn, but what does that mean? What does that mean? Is it something like the Wheel of Time? What does that mean to be Valor Reborn? That's what I mean. There's no real grounding aspect to suck me into the book. Mind you, this is my introduction into Elise Kova as a writer. So, first book of hers that I've read. I haven't even read Air Awakens. I really do want to read that book too. So I will say, this book did not deter me from reading more books from her. I still am very interested to read her previous books. It was just very hard for me to get into the book itself, unfortunately. And I do think that there are some really good characters. There's Saifa, who's her best friend, right? And then you have Lucan, who is her love interest. So they're really doing an enemies to lover, because he is the adopted son of the Vicar, who is abusive and power hungry. He's a bastard. And as the story goes on, you see just how much of a bastard he is, right? You also have the font, which is kind of, my understanding, was a wellspring of magic. And that's the thing, again, I don't really have a clear vision of what this world is supposed to look like. I like how the dragons take on aspects of D&D, which was really cool with their, oh yeah, different colors mean different attributes. That was pretty great. That fueled my inner nerd here. So I liked that. I just wanted something to ground me in the world a little bit more, because I did struggle, I did struggle with understanding certain characters' motivations. Why is he such a bastard? What does it mean to be Valor Reborn? What does it mean to be Dragon Cursed? What is it to be Dragon Cursed? What's the scourge, It was, why are dragons attacking these people? It was just hard to get myself into this world. Granted, when the tribunal started, that's when the pacing really started to pick up, and we get to see a little bit more definition on the structure of magic and power in this world. So it wasn't until we're like midway through that tribunal, honestly. So about halfway through the book, when we are really understanding like sigils and how sigils work and how you can use certain sigils based on certain dragons' attributes as magic. So that was really interesting. I think this book is unique, for sure. I think it has a unique feeling to it and a unique structure of magic. I just wish there was a little bit more structure itself and a little bit more world building to help ground me in the book itself, because there's the ether light and the ether shade. You know, like ether light flows through everyone, and dragons are kind of, when you become dragon curse, it's you like taking the ether light and you're like turning it into ether shade, and it's like the absence of life, I guess, kind of, sort of. That was my understanding of it in the book. Again, see, that was my struggle here. So I don't know, maybe it was reader's fatigue that kind of hindered me a little bit. Maybe I was just out of breath. No, the book I read after that, I read it in 3 days. So, apples and oranges, I guess. Maybe I just wasn't, you know, in the mood to read it. I don't know. I read anything and anything with dragons. I love books with dragons. So maybe my expectations are just really high when it comes to books with dragons. Yeah, my expectations are definitely high when it comes to book with dragons. I mean, I just compare everything to Dragonlance because Dragonlance is like the best thing ever. So I don't know. I just couldn't get myself lost in the story. Like I couldn't. I wasn't grounded in it. But you know, once I hit my stride with reading it, it was hard to put down. I did like the tribunal. I liked seeing the characters develop. I liked how they formed their alliance, you know, Isola, Saifa, and Lucan. I liked their dynamic and the friendship that grew between them, and just how they had to learn to team up together to survive the tribunal, right? Because everyone does the tribunal. It's, you know, how you find your, you know, position in society after that. You know, it's like your graduation, but, you know, you're kind of in danger, and you're also being tested to see if you're dragon cursed and are going to turn into a dragon. I just wish there was a little bit more grounding to start off with, and a little bit more world building. I don't mind being plopped into a universe, but I need something to ground me into it, you know? I need some sort of grounding element. I need a little bit of world building, a little bit of structure, so that way I can find my footing in right at the beginning, and then that way I just can just read the story with a breeze. So, you know, it wasn't a bad book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I am going to pick up book 2, that's for sure, especially the ending. Ooh, when we finally get to see all the dragons, that was really cool. That is something I'm really interested to read. So, and, you know, it's really gratifying to see the Vicar get his dues. I just see how we're gonna like come back to this, you know? I'm really interested to see what's gonna happen next. And now that I know how the world kind of functions, for the most part, I think reading book 2 will be much easier than, reading book 1. So, you know, it is what it is. Thoroughly enjoyed it. If you read the book, let me know what your opinions are below. And on that note, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with our book with your friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.